Today, I'm happy to share a conversation between the other two co hosts of the podcast, Chitra and Gayatri. In this freewheeling conversation and reflections, they touch upon Chitra's practice of annual year end reflection, and Gayatri talks about her professional achievements this year, as well as some of the lowlights that she had. Chitra shares her entrepreneurial journey in the learning space and how the co-founders kind of supported each other and delving into authorship, which is supposed to be a secret, and their experiences and the practices as coaches and how that influenced their ways of working. The significance of time management and also just being, not always doing. And they also share what they would like to take up as a practice in the coming year and about managing energy more than the time to be effective overall. About managing FOMO, the fear of missing out, by sifting through the barrage of information overload and pick the ones that are most relevant for you and how do you get started on that. The need and importance of having safe spaces to help explore problem spaces and reflect. And they also talk about their ideas for the coming year that they want to work on. Some of the techniques that they talk about include the atomic habits as well as the Pomodoro technique. Listen on and be inspired.
Hi, Chitra. It's been ages since we met. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Gayatri. It's really nice to be talking to you after such a long time, and you're looking lovely as ever.
Same with you, same with you. And I would like to start with a very happy new year 2024 to all our listeners. And happy new year to you and your family also, Chitra.
Thank you, Gayatri. Wishing all our listeners a very, very happy 2024. And I hope the new year has exciting times ahead for everyone.
Yes. And like the usual style of PM Power Consulting and software people stories, I thought we should do a reflection of 2023, our own personal journey, and what has worked for us, what has not, like our truly being transparent about us. I thought we could start with that. And Chitra, what are the things that you want to cover in this podcast?
I think that's a great way. In fact, one thing I didn't land up doing this year was actually do a yearly reflection, something that I at least sit down quietly and do for myself. So thank you for provoking this line of thought and conversation. I think it's a good time to do it actually. So go ahead. Why don't you start?
Okay. Let me start with how my journey career wise went, and I'll also share my reflection. So at the start of this year or late in 2022, I finished a very large migration of a two banks merger, and it was extremely hectic the previous 1 year. And while at that point in time, a startup bug caught me and was trying to had two big ideas that I want to really get started. So that's how I started the year, and had, as usual, had lots of goals, saying that I have to do this and move the earth and solve world hunger. But I think in conclusion, I think a couple of things has gone well in my year. One is I started a new consulting engagement and going to kickstart one more in the next month or so. And it has, both are in the world of business agility. And it's awesome to see companies moving. I think we'll talk about that later. Second is, personally, I think I was a volunteer for organizing my college reunion, and that's happening in a week now. And we have about 240 people coming in to Trichy. That's also very endearing for me. And couple of things that have not gone very well, or at least could have gone better than expected, is I think I do think that the idea that I thought initially is still in the ideation phase. Maybe the time has not come for it to kick off. And another idea that we were planning to do for women empowerment, women in tech, which were supposed to be launched late this year. We are yet to launch, but I think that's hopefully in a better state what it is. But that's really how I want to sum up my career wise. What about you, Chitra?
Wow, you have really traversed a very, very interesting path, Gayatri. It sounds daunting, exciting, full of stories, I'm sure, lessons. Overall, I must say, a very, very exciting year. It was just fantastic listening to everything. Where do I start? Yeah, I think let me start with my own entrepreneurship journey, which took me to where my partner and I started this company called Adeptic Creative Labs. We stepped into the space of learning something that we had an idea about and so on. And, I think as all entrepreneurs, we've had so many ups and downs, starting from the excitement of launching a new company to finding those first customers, and then trying to see if we should persevere and pivot. So I'd like to start by saying that rather than looking at it as a failure, I think the fact that we had the insight and I'd say courage to pull away from something that we obviously knew wouldn't work for some time this year. It was a painful decision. But what I saw at the end of it was the three of us founders actually supporting each other through that decision, which was very, very nice. It was gracious at the end of the day. And even though I stepped away from it, I've taken away so many learnings, which I'm already seeing coming to great use in this new role that I've taken. So talking about new challenges, I never saw myself taking on a role of CTO. And that too in a sector that I had little on, absolutely no experience actually, the healthcare sector. But it's also something that has given me an opportunity to pursue something that that's very close to my heart, which is overall health and well-being, right? So this being an opportunity to learn about how the whole sector functions, understand the business side of it, understand the whole ecosystem of patients, doctors, caregivers, hospitals, how to actually run this business and enable it through a tech platform, I think is just exciting times ahead and loads of learning again. That apart, I think on the, like you said, also looking forward to some new consulting opportunities in the space of health and well-being, perhaps may turn into yet another entrepreneurship attempt. So, and the other part, I'd say that these last couple of months have given me a lot of time to go back to something that I really like, which is reading. And some exciting news in terms of hopefully very quickly being able to publish my first book as a co-author. And I'll keep that as a surprise till it happens.
Oh, wow, Chitra. It's an amazing journey. First of all, congratulations on your CTO position. I think that's an awesome step towards your dreams. And I think entrepreneurship bug always is within us, right? Whether we
I
are doing
think
it
so.
within a firm
I
or
think so. And you know what, Gayatri, I wanted to say, when you say consulting around business agility, I must say you've stayed true to the path of being agile, doing agile, and also I wanted to ask you this. Do you find your experience of having been a coach and facilitator with TM Power, playing into your various roles?
A couple of things I actually continue to practice even now. Not just being the coach internally, but also the aspect of staying motivated. I thought I will share one practice that I have been doing it and continue to do. When we were in PM Power Consulting, what we used to do is on a weekly basis, we used to send our report. It's not like somebody was our boss and sending it, right? We were our own boss and doing it. So that practice I've stayed true even now after years of doing it. I think when I was in with DBS as well as when I am doing on my own, I keep doing that sort of a journaling. I share this as a journaling approach. While it may look like a status report from outside, but that's sort of a journaling for ourselves if we are not sharing it with people. I think that is one thing that I have continued to do. And one practice I picked it up, which was similar to that, is both taking personal activities as well as chores. Sometimes we keep postponing those chores. What I've done is I hold an Excel spreadsheet of chores, and I also have a weightage of it. Something very similar to a story point, and I give a weightage to it, and I keep looking at it and say, okay, how many did I finish? Am I able to stay in the same velocity, or I keep adjusting my daily? I think what two aspects I want to reflect on. One is it also helps me to stay motivated that, okay, some hard to do tasks. Sometimes some of the things that we do are very new. For example, we trying to go speak with some of the people in government, or some things which we are knocking somebody's door, whom we don't even know. Sometimes it's not easy, but having this sort of a list where I have done this before, may not be the same activity, some similar one. I found it that has given me some kind of confidence, and breaking down into small pieces, right? It also, I read the book Atomic Habits in the beginning of the year. It is somewhat similar, not the same. It says first 4 minutes is the hardest to do. Once you get over those 4 minutes, you are into the activity. So you already have that stop loss mentality, right? Okay, I've already done it. I just keep doing it and persevering it. I think these are two things I've taken away from PM Power as a coach, and I have stayed with that. And in fact, I show this to people, and in the act of being vulnerable, or being uh, being a true believer of this art. If you are not believing it, nobody else is going to. So I think those are things that I wanted to share in terms of my own small practices that I do, so that it stays with me, and I stay on the same path.
Nice. I think this conversation is going to give me a lot of tips. So I'm glad we are having it. On similar lines, I think one thing that I take away from my previous role, which was, defining these, the bundle was actually called Smart EES, or Smart Essential Employability Skills. And one of the highest rated in that was time management, which is what I think a lot of people struggle with, and so relevant today. And I remember reviewing parts of the script that we wrote for the video that we brought out on it. And I found myself using the techniques that, I think what I heard from you is practice what you preach. So that's something that I picked up, which is a Pomodoro technique. So, and like you very rightly said, Gayatri, those first 4 minutes, if you don't get them right, then your whole day pretty much goes for a toss. So the minute I settle down at my desk and I have my little, one or two things that I'd like to get done for the day for sure, I actually set a timer on my phone to say that, okay, these first 40 minutes are going to be undivided, and let me get this done. And I realized the days that I do that, you get a sense of actually, you're getting things done. And maybe sometime in this conversation, I'd like to contrast it with a lot of what some of our former colleagues in particular, I remember Vishu saying, sometimes just don't do anything, just be, and I found that it's very hard to do because I'm the kind of person who most of the time has lists running through her head saying that, okay, I need to get this done and I need to get this done. But one thing I've practiced consciously this year, and it's helped me in the decision making when it came to pull the plug on certain things with respect to the product company. It helped me gain clarity in terms of what I see myself doing going forward and so on, is actually at the time when things appear like they are piling up in your head, drop everything and just be still. And that I've seen has given me the time to, it almost takes me back to the time in school where in between class periods, somebody would get up and rub the board. And I remember when I used to do that, it was actually giving myself the time to calm down and switch over and get ready for the next class that's coming. So this kind of has helped me slow down. And it also was an aha moment. And many, many great philosophers and teachers and entrepreneurs and people have said this, is that the moments of clarity come when you least expect them. But I think the important thing is to also give yourself that time and space and just allow either thoughts or emotions to just flow through, and voila, that moment of clarity emerges. So that's a practice I want to take forward and see what it's like to actually drop things first and then slowly get back on.
Oh, wow. Lovely. I really, I do agree in terms of just being and, cleaning the slate, if you will. One of the things that I want to stop doing, to be, brutally honest, is just like you're saying, just be, whenever I have this huge clutter in my head, I plump in front of, if I'm at home, I'm working from home, I plump in front of TV and watch some web series, which is the most highest rated. Oh, I realized that the it's brutally addicting. So that I can't even tell you how addicting it is. And that's something that I've said, I've put timers on my phone, so that I don't do it anymore. So hopefully that will stop. Because while we want to share what has been good, I want to be brutally honest to say, hey, these are not things that are great. As a person, I felt that, while it sounds like, I'm relaxing, but relaxing just doing nothing and being with ourselves, or going out for a walk, or doing yoga is different from consuming either food or some kind of a audiovisual material. I'm not very sure if these two are miles apart, right? What do you think? What are the things that you want to stop doing, Chitra?
The thought that's coming to my mind is different strokes for different folks. I think that the enjoyable process is discovering what works for you and dropping, what is really a drain on your energy. So very often, sometimes I also notice this, that when conversations, especially at work, become, and I think it's a function of the nature of workplaces is, I think people's intent overall is to get things done, is to help move the business forward and so on. And so during meetings, sometimes there's discussions that get rat-holed. People are passionately defending what they believe and so on. And sometimes when you observe, those are the moments where the tune in and tune out, I think that's an art, is how much do I need to take in versus how much do I let go? That's something that I'd love to, build up as a practice, because then I think what I'm realizing is that we all, at least I have very finite resources of energy, and it matters where I decide to channel that energy. And can I sort of tune myself towards putting the energy where it matters the most?
Yeah, I think rightly put in terms of how effective our time can be, because that's what I'm realizing is this year, particularly. I mean, we just came out of the Michong cyclone, and we see problems everywhere in terms of where all we can solve. But are we going to be able to solve everything? No, definitely not. And do we have the sphere of influence? And where is that sphere of influence? And how can we stay true to that? I think that's something that we have to constantly keep questioning and slightly push our envelope. That way, we stay challenged. I think that's something that, I want to, stay that way, because otherwise what happens is, if we continue to stay in our own perspective, what happens is that becomes starts defining who you are. So you stop rediscovering who you can be, right?
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic thing to do. And in that sense, I'm glad that I've taken on this role where I knew nothing about. So I remember the first few weeks into this role, all I was doing was reading, reading, reading. It was like going back to college days and studying material, opening up and saying, okay, what do these systems look like? What are their system definitions like? What are the constructs based on? And sometimes it was frustrating because you had to really go back to a few basics. But I think, like you very rightly said, Gayatri, when you push yourself just that much more, it also opens so many doors, very unexpected doors. And I found so many people who were willing to step in, entertain my questions, point me in the right direction. And that then became a very beautiful, motivating cycle, which, fingers crossed, has sustained until today. And I hope it goes on as I continue further in my role. But it's also about how much you can absorb, and that's something that I wanted to talk about as well. Maybe we'll also pick up more detailed threads about it in the next conversation. With all of this hype and talk about AI, sometimes I do get overwhelmed. There's a barrage of information. There's literally a barrage. And I've seen that most people's worry is, are we missing the bus? What happens if we don't understand this? How much do we need to know? How much of this is valid for my business? And I think through all of this, there is, as all the hype there is with something new, and you realize you really have to develop the ability to sift through step by step and slowly, what is it that makes sense for you to get started with? And then you also are wearing the responsibility and the hats for the business. They are looking towards you to recommend, how is it that we get started? What is it that we do first? So I think it's the tempering, it's the balancing of, how do we assimilate this information that's coming our way and make sense of it? So any thoughts on that from you?
Wow. Okay. Very true. I'm one of those worry bugs who keeps worrying, saying that, oh, I don't know this. What is this? I don't know. So I get into more learning about it. And I think when I was being a programmer or is even a coach, right? Once you define the problem field, it's easier to find solutions, right? But if you're trying to understand the solution and then trying to say, okay, which solution will go and fit this problem, I find myself very, very nonplussed. I'm like,
one thing that you said just triggered a thought. And do you remember, very often we used to hear people say, try to stay more in the problem space. That's becoming, I'm actually finding myself practicing that a lot more. Stay in the problem space, stay with the problem. And sort of very often I'm discovering it's like they call peeling the layers of the onion, right? Or you're probably building or adding layers like a foundation. And then, I'll use the analogy of how people layer makeup on themselves, right? It's actually quite transformational at the end of it. And then you wipe it all off and then start again, right? To see if different looks fit, what look fits or doesn't fit. But I think the takeaway there is to have the ability to stay as long as you can in the problem space. Allow that process to unfurl itself, rather than jumping into solutions and coming from the other way, like you said, isn't it?
Very rightly put, Chitra, because AI literally is, while it is transformational, it is definitely here to stay. I don't know if you recall, when we started, that point in time, there were whenever there was a new processor that came into the picture, we used to go read up the processor, or in fact, I remember when Ultra Vista was joined, it's a new website has come, go and look at what all are the features available. I mean, I think that there is always this excitement around new, but as at that point in time, I think we had lots of energy and plethora of time, and we also had to be honest, people who also were telling us about it. There was a lot of people who were also telling about not all everything that we used to go through. Somebody else used to say, okay, comprehend and tell us. I think that sort of we have to keep surrounded with such people, hopefully better than us. Will help us in terms of keeping us updated on the latest of the technology, as well as staying with the problem, because we only will know what the problem is. Nobody else can know. The solution, maybe we can bring experts in, but but even those people will say, okay, what is the problem? What is the problem? Please share more. Tell me more.
Yes. And those are moments where, like, you think you knew about it, but the minute the person is asking you the question, your mind goes blank. How do I articulate the problem now in a way where, it makes sense? I think this is a very, very interesting part of the conversation, because maybe we should write a paper on iterating through problems.
Definitely.
One thing that I've discovered is, having safe spaces to actually explore the problem itself is to, I think, when we talk about design thinking, when we talk about problem discovery, and the initial part of design thinking where there is, in fact, rather than move towards convergence, I'd say invite more divergence a lot more. And then, that's what I've noticed. If you allow that process to happen, I think, and engaging with different stakeholders, inviting their points of view. This is, of course, a lot of stuff that I'm sure all of us know, right? Having worked for so long. But it's, in the urgency to get to a decision point, I still see that as the friction that through which you need to patiently stay the course of discovering the problem, inviting diverse thoughts, looking at it from all angles, getting those, nuggets through various interactions, all of them leading to overall, I say, a very richer experience. And I also found that it doesn't rush you into decision making or making choices or putting the stress of saying, hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right call? Versus saying that, okay, this is what I know about the problem today. Let me set it aside for now and take a fresh look at it tomorrow. Of course, the open question is, everybody has a timeline, and we'll park that for now. But I would say, I think practicing it like this would give a very, very clear understanding of what the problem is. And like you very rightly said, if we get the problem space right, then solutions will follow.
Yeah, very coolly put, right? Because when you actually find all the problems, the priority of which problem to solve first also comes in. See, it's never that we don't have problems, right? Obviously, organizations are meant to solve problems or so have solutions. I think diverging and creating that safe space to solve it, I think that helps. And having like-minded people and building people in, right? Building people and their skills as well as their own capability and sometimes capacities, what they can do. I think that find it very enriching, me as a person, because I even today on September 5th, when I get Happy Teachers Day, thank you, I often think of myself as a coach, but the persevere thinks of you as a teacher. So it's good to have that sort of a person who persona that you sort of have wear different hats for different people, different realms. I think that sort of, is what I would wrap as a success for me as a person, and stay in that path, hopefully, next year. What is your plan for next year, Chitra?
Nicely put, Gayatri. In fact, there's 2 PM Parians that I'm remembering quite a bit in the course of this conversation. One, of course, is Vishu and his Just Be. The other thing, ever more so in today's situation, this goes back to the whole study report and podcast that we've done in 2020 during the onset of the pandemic. Person I'm recalling who authored this whole article on sense, focus, and respond. I think that for me is these are the 2 takeaways that are coming to me from my past experience very strongly, and I feel hold a lot of relevance for me going forward into the new year. And the other are, learning to more of an observer of the process and channelizing energies where they are most needed at a certain point in time. So I'd say that maybe 2024, I'm going to take these forward as we all navigate through, I would say, more of various versions of AI, avatars, fakes, reality, and a whole lot of things that's, coming down the pipe, a lot of which we don't know anything about. And, maybe try and watch more OTT for fun, like you said.
Very nice, Chitra. I like the fact that, just be and sense, focus, and respond. That way, we know what we are trying to do, as well as staying true to the path. Any other goals, Chitra, for the year?
I think these are good to start with. Definitely one focus area is health and well-being. I think it's becoming more and more important for us. And working towards trying to see if, my next gig around women's health, takes some shape this year. What about you, Gayatri?
All the best for that. Sounds very, very exciting. Women's health and your secret book project. I am hoping that we are in the process of setting up something for women entrepreneurs in technology to get the right kind of resources in terms of finances, in terms of advice, help, network, and things like that. So I'm hoping that we kickstart that and enable people, and want to do something in the ESG area, the environment area, as I'm seeing more climate change happening. I want to see what else can I do there to help build a better place around me. That's what I'm looking forward to for next year.
Really nice, and wishing you all the best for it. let's also find a way of staying in touch through podcasts or other means. And wishing you all the very best. Wishing all our listeners once again a very, very happy 2024. Thank you for staying with us for so many years.
Thank you, and wish you all a great year, and wish all your dreams come true, and be the best version you can be.
Thank you, Gayatri.
Thank you, Chitra.